If you're over 40 and losing fat feels nearly impossible, today I'm going to show you 3 warning signs that could prove what's stopping you drop fat is not aging, and the separate fixes I used on 3 different clients. Stay to the end. The 3rd sign is the one almost everyone gets backwards. I'm Tony Scullion, I'm 48 years old, and I've used my discoveries to help over 865 clients take back control of their body and their energy. Men from companies like Salesforce, SpaceX, and Ernst & Young. I didn't use TRT, GLP-1s, or drugs. Warning sign 1. Your weight keeps creeping up even though your diet hasn't really changed. You're eating roughly the same amount of food as 5 years ago. Maybe you're even eating cleaner food, but your belly is growing and nothing you do keeps the weight off. Here's what's actually happening. Invisible stress, work pressures, poor sleep, friction at home and in business, and never having enough time. This keeps cortisol, your primary stress hormone, elevated all day. And high cortisol does 2 things. It switches your body into fat storage mode, especially around your midsection, and it suppresses your testosterone, so you lose muscle, your energy tanks, and fat loss feels almost impossible. And it doesn't matter how clean you actually eat. If your nutrition isn't built for your exact lifestyle, your body's going to hold on to fat to survive. I had a client, a president of a financial company, who flies 146 times a year for business. He came to me stuck at the same weight for nearly 10 years. Here's what he was doing wrong. You might be doing this too. He saw everything through one lens of I don't have time. So his stress ran high and his nutrition was always focused on something fast and convenient. Here's what we changed. If you lead a team or run a business, this is where your biggest return on investment is. First, we cut his stress load and we freed up 10 hours a week in his calendar. This gave him the mental space back, reduced the constantly overwhelmed feeling. Then second, we built his nutrition to support his 146 flights a year, and then high and low calorie days, so we could actually hold his nutrition, not one rigid plan that breaks the very first week he travels and has to attend some business dinners. He dropped 12 pounds in 8 weeks. I have a clients lose 20-30 pounds in that time, but remember, this was weight that wouldn't move for nearly 10 years. That wasn't caused by aging, that was caused by his biology reacting to stress. And stress is one thing high-performing men are conditioned to never admit. Stress is for the weak, right? That's why it stays invisible. A high performer's leg could be hanging off and he'd find a way to just keep pushing on. Maybe you can relate to that. So here's warning sign number 2. This is the one that fit men generally miss completely. You used to be fit. Maybe you used to be sporty, very good at your sports. Maybe even you competed. You had it all dialed in, then life happened. Career, family, all that pressure piled up. And somewhere in the last few years, you stopped recognizing the man that looked back in the mirror. Here's the dangerous part. You know what to do, you've done it before, but the approach from your 20s just doesn't work right now. Especially after 40, your hormones have shifted and your recovery potential is much slower. And that gap between who you used to be and who you are now gets wider every single month you use the wrong approach. I had a client who had been fit his whole life, a competitive runner and cyclist, and then stress and work took over and he put on over 40 pounds what seemed super fast. He came to me training hard, eating clean, but the body fat just wouldn't shift. Here's what we changed about his approach. First, we matched his food to his actual training load. If he had a hard session, that was more fuel and his carbs were timed to support the workouts. If he had an easy day, he had less fuel because he didn't need it so much. So we cut fat without his athletic performance and business performance dropping. This is very important. You could do the right amount of nutrition to support your athletic performance, but your business performance might suffer afterwards if you don't have it structured correctly. Second, we tracked the right metrics the right way. He used to weigh in once a week. If that happened to be the morning after a business flight, the scale was up, he'd think that he had gained fat. But it was only water, not fat. So we implemented weighing himself several times a week and watched his average weight alongside his recovery markers. Then on our weekly review, we read all the info together, analysed patterns, and then we were able to see what needed change for the weeks ahead. This resulted in 46 pounds down in under 4 months. He said he felt like he was in his 20s again. He's 47 years old. Same effort as before, just better choices to gain better results. In a second, I'll share with you how to find what's really stopping your progress. But first, warning sign number 3, the one almost everyone gets backwards. You're doing more and you're getting less results for your effort. More exercise, more calorie restriction, more effort, but this is resulting in less weight dropping or less belly fat reducing. Here's why that's happening. After 40, more exercise without structured strength training breaks muscle down and pushes your cortisol much higher than it needs to be. This slows down your metabolism, meaning you store more fat, and that brain fog, and after an energy crash you also get, that's not always poor sleep. That could be your stress hormones telling you your nervous system is overloaded. Piling on more exercise and cutting more food, which both stress the system on top of high stress from your relationships, career, lack of quality sleep, only make everything worse. I had a client training 5 or 6 times a week. He was already eating clean and still carrying over 30 pounds more than he wanted to. Here's what he was doing wrong. 1, training to failure almost every session on top of a hectic business life. No structured recovery and a hidden problem no effort seemed to be fixing. Here's what we changed first. We ran a blood test to find out what he was deficient in, what nutrients and minerals he was deficient in, and if there was any underlying problems. And it turns out his vitamin D was low, and that was dragging down his testosterone. But the issue was he was actually taking vitamin D, but it just wasn't in the most biological available format. So after a short while of him using better vitamin sources, his body started responding again. Second, we rebuilt his week for maximum recovery. Structured training, the right sets and reps, no more training to failure every single session. And then we fixed his sleep, which improved his gut and lowered his anxiety. He ended up losing 34 pounds and his strength went up 174%, which we measured using the tonal system. Here you can see the results that he got. So less training and nutrition his body actually absorbed resulted in better outputs. No drugs, no TRT. If even one of those 3 signs sounds like you're not just getting older. Your body needs an approach built around your biology, not against it. If you want to know exactly what's blocking your fat loss and the order to fix it, take the 2-minute free metabolic audit on the link below. It shows you what's holding you back and what you need to do first. And if you want the exact order to fix this, watch this next. I'll see you in the next one.